Welcome to another OU Insider Under the Visor Sooners postgame podcast powered by Riverwind Casino. Brandon Drum, Parker Thune, Oklahoma 24, Auburn Tigers 17, number 11 Oklahoma 24, number 22 Auburn Tigers 17 in a defensive stalwart type of game, Parker, where Oklahoma and Auburn could get very little traction on the offensive side of the ball, but when they did, it was from the quarterbacks. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Oklahoma's defensive line. Holy crapola. What a performance by them. We're going to talk about Oklahoma's upcoming schedule a little bit. We're going to talk about a little bit of big picture here. We're going to talk about Jackson Arnold and his return to Oklahoma. Played pretty well. Not going to lie. He played pretty well. Talk about a little bit about the post game that I got to witness. All that and more on this version of the post game podcast. But before we do all that, Parker, take it away and let's thank our sponsors.
Indeed. Riverwind Casino is the presenting sponsor of the OU Insider Under the Visor podcast. You know where it's at, right off of I-35 and Highway 9. It's been the OKC area's premier gaming destination for nearly 2 decades now. Almost 3,000 electronic games, table games, bars and dining options, plus the best live music in the metro. It's no surprise that Riverwind is always a good time. Also, shout out to Jana King, the greatest team to ever clean and a proud partner of OU Athletics, delivering spotless results and solutions from stadiums to any size business across the country. Check out which solution is best for you or your business by going to janiking.com. That's JANIKING.com. And finally, a word from Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Do you know ball? It's time to prove it. Whether you prefer to play NFL or college football action, whatever your sport of choice, you can turn your knowledge into cash with Prize Picks. Simple to play, just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and if you get your picks right, you can cash in. Prize Picks also offers injury reboots, so if one of your players leaves the game in the first half and doesn't return, Prize Picks won't count it as a loss. Now, download the app today and use code OU Insider to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code OU Insider to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Brandon, the Sooners set a school record today. Never in the long and illustrious history of Oklahoma football had the Sooners racked up double-digit sacks in a single game. They did that today. And here's the thing, man. I know everybody wants to downplay it. Nobody wants to acknowledge it. I truly do believe there was a little bit of added motivation for everybody on that Oklahoma defense because it was Jackson Arnold on the opposing side. And not necessarily in an animosity sort of way. Like, trust me, I heard what the student section was chanting. I heard some of the jeers that were thrown Jackson Arnold's way as he was walking onto and off of the field. Yep. And throughout, like, trust me, I'm very aware of what the fan perception of Jackson Arnold is. But I think about it more in the vein of, growing up, you play sports, inevitably you're going to wind up playing against one of your buddies that goes to a different school or plays for a different select team, whatever the case may be. You're going to end up playing one of your buddies at a certain point in time, and you want to get the best of your buddy. Not because there's beef, not because there's animosity there, but more so just because you want to be able to be the one to give him a little bit of ribbon next time you see each other, as opposed to him being able to say, I got the better of you this time around, or something along those lines. So for this Oklahoma defense, and I thought it was really cool in the aftermath of the football game that basically half the roster created this massive conga line to go give Jackson Arnold a hug.
Yeah.
He gave probably 50 hugs when that game ended. And almost everybody that was on the roster last year at some point made their way over to Jackson Arnold. Many of the coaches made their way over to Jackson Arnold, just offered him a hug, a pat on the back, a smile, and an exchange of pleasantries. So I think the motivation of having your former teammate in the opposing uniform playing quarterback, I think that fed into the excellence for this Oklahoma defensive unit, and particularly that pass rush today.
Mhm.
They were determined to make a statement because that's their guy in a different uniform. That's how I see it.
Yeah, so I totally agree with that statement, by the way. I think there was a added it is. I mean, if you don't believe it, all you got to do is look at Peyton Bowen's Instagram. I think that spoke volumes of the Kobe. Uh, if you ever watched the Netflix series of, I mean, what was it, Redeem Team? And that's what that's off of, where there's like Kobe Bryant going through Pau Gasol's chest the first time they play Spain. And just, it was just pool play of the Olympics, but he was setting the tone. And he was saying, no, dude, that's my brother. When it comes to NBA season, I'm going through my dude right now. Very first play, defensive play during the game against Spain back in 2008, set the tone. It was like that the rest of the way. Taylor Wine set the tone in that very same vein today. Went right through his brother or former brother, excuse me, um, in Jackson Arnold on the first drive. And from that point on, it was, all hell broke loose. 14 tackles for loss, 10 sacks, right? I believe. So just an unbelievable performance by Oklahoma's defensive front. And yeah, that added oomph was what they needed, I think. Look, this Oklahoma team has a different gear when they're playing really well, particularly on the defensive front. This Oklahoma team's special on the defensive, probably the front. I would say the front seven special. Yeah, you're, and everybody's going to point to the secondary, Parker, and they're going to say, "Well, Jackson Arnold had a heyday, throwing it up to Cam Coleman." Okay, that's Cam Coleman.
Yep.
Oklahoma is not going to play very many more Cam Colemans. They're going to play Ryan Williams against Alabama. They're going to play, and I know OU fans aren't going to want to hear this, they're going to play a couple of former OU players with LSU and a couple of wide receivers at LSU, and not just their former OU players that are going to cause them some problems. They're going to play some guys with Tennessee that are going to cause some problems. Outside of Ryan Williams, though, there isn't another Cam Coleman in the SEC, Parker.
You know what the crazy thing is?
What's that?
You know what the crazy thing is? I mean, you're talking in such glowing terms about Cam Coleman, as you should. He's a
Yep.
freak show.
Yes,
He's
he
one of the
is.
best wide receivers in college football. But Cam Coleman only caught 3 passes for 88 yards today. It felt like a lot more than that, didn't it?
Yeah, but they were always big plays. I think that's the thing. And
And here's
granted,
the thing.
he should have
Here's
had
my
another big
point.
play.
Here's my point in bringing that up. Cam Coleman only caught 3 passes for 88 yards, but he did draw a couple of downfield pass interference penalties, which moved
Yep.
the ball for Auburn as well. The big thing, though, the big thing in this game, maybe the biggest thing in this game, is that Jackson Arnold kind of handed Oklahoma this victory in many ways. Now, I don't want to take anything away from the Sooners because they went and took it in crunch time. They needed a go-ahead drive. They put together a go-ahead drive. John Mateer answered the bell. The defense needed to step up and disallow a game-winning drive from Auburn, and that's exactly what they did.
Yeah.
But there were 3 instances, Brandon, 3 instances in which Cam Coleman got behind the Oklahoma defense, and if Jackson Arnold hits him in stride, it's over. He's walking into the end zone, uncontested for a touchdown. Now, on the first of those plays, he underthrew him. Coleman held up. He actually made the catch. It was a 40-something yard gain for Auburn downfield. That was the first big chunk play of the afternoon for Cam Coleman. But on the next 2, the next one would have been a 70-plus yard touchdown, I do believe, and then the final one would have been a 40-plus yard touchdown. Jackson Arnold leads Cam Coleman a few inches too far. And if that ball is delivered on the money,
Yeah.
I think we're having some very different conversations right now.
Probably are. Well, I mean, yeah, probably are. two of those three, if I remember correctly, he had to shorten his stride out because his offensive line was getting pushed back into him. So he really didn't have a good, wasn't able to follow through all the way, step through all the way like he should have. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt on that one. However, the one in the end zone where he tried to dive, where he had to dive, um, and it was just like right out. That was just a bad pass. That was just a bad pass. Like there was nobody at Jackson's feet, nothing like that was the one play. And I believe I told Jesse the same thing. I'm like, dude, the defensive front kind of saved Oklahoma on that play because Cortland Guillory got burnt.
Yeah.
Uh, Devon Jordan got burnt. Those two freshmen got burnt on those three, and two of them, you know who did it? It was Jaden Jackson and David Stone. If they weren't doing their job pushing those guards and centers back into Jackson, that's probably a touchdown. He's probably following through and able to have a little bit more control over the throw. The first one, though, no, that was on Jackson. He got a little overexcited thinking, oh my God, he's so open, and just overthrew it. And that is, yeah, you know what? We probably are having a different conversation
And man, when you
at
think
that
about
point.
that, you think about the miscues on Oklahoma's part, the botched exchange that led to the fumble. John Mateer took responsibility for it. That was the lone turnover of the day for Oklahoma. But the couple of picks that were dropped, I mean, Peyton Bowen gets both hands on the ball. Kendall Daniels gets both hands on the ball. Neither of them are able to secure it. Man, it was such ugly is not it's not fair to call it ugly. This performance was certainly rough around the edges for Oklahoma. But ultimately, man, it takes what it takes to win in the SEC. And you're not going to play 60 minutes of perfect ball, especially when you got another talented team on the opposing sideline. And Oklahoma did today in Auburn.
Yeah.
What it's about in this conference and what it's going to take the rest of the way for the Sooners is exactly what they did in this football game, particularly in the fourth quarter. They
Yeah.
made crucial plays in crucial moments, both on offense and on defense. And that is refreshing, Brandon, because, I mentioned it, I put it out on Twitter after the game. This is only the third game of the Brent Venables era in which the Sooners have erased a fourth quarter deficit to win a football game. Now, admittedly, they didn't face much of a deficit today. They trailed by 1 point very briefly in the fourth quarter. But I can't even tell you how many games we've seen that have played out along these lines over the last 3 years, and Oklahoma winds up on the losing end. I mean, they let Auburn hang around. They allowed Auburn to hang around for 3.5 quarters, almost four full ones. And I think the Brent Venables Sooners of 2022, the Brent Venables Sooners of 2023, certainly the Brent Venables Sooners of 2024. This is the type of game that they lose. And
Yes.
the fact that they coalesced in the fourth quarter of this game and made the plays that they needed to make, and their best players made the plays that they needed to make. John Mateer to Isaiah Satania down the sideline to set up the touchdown run from Mateer himself. Grayson Halton getting home for a third down sack to put Auburn in a fourth and forever situation. And then, of course, the closer, our Mason Thomas, coming up with that exclamation point. I mean, to see your best football players make plays in those types of moments is exactly what you want as an Oklahoma fan. If those plays are there to be made, those are the guys you want making those plays because those are the guys that are going to have to make those plays when you're going up against nationally elite competition in highly, highly consequential games. And this game was important for Oklahoma, certainly,
Yeah.
but they will play more important games down the line.
3 weeks from now, there's a pretty important game that's going to happen in
Yep.
Dallas, right? And it looks like Oklahoma. Well, no, Oklahoma's going to go in that 5-0. That was the question of whether they were going to be able to do that or not. And like you said, the reason they are going to go in 5-0 is because The playmakers are making plays. When it's a tight ball game, outside of that 2023 OU Texas game where Dylan Gabriel hit Nick Anderson in the corner and Drake Stoops played catch with Dylan all the way down the field, the minute and 12 they had or whatever it was left on the clock for that drive. Oklahoma really hasn't had a lot of those drives under Brent Venables. And they had just that today against a really good defense, SEC defense, a front seven that you worry was going to be able to. They knew Oklahoma was going to be passing the ball right, pin their ears back, get after them. And you got to give credit where credit's due. As rough of a day as the offensive line had at times, they only allowed one sack, number one. Number two, they held up their end of the bargain on that drive when everybody knew they were passing the ball on every play, Parker. So that was big. But like you said, the having Jackson Arnold, or excuse me, having John Mateer make those plays, having Isaiah Satania make those plays on the defensive side of the ball, having our Mason Thomas, having David Stone, Grayson Halton, Jaden Jackson make those type of plays, Marvin Jones Jr. make those type of plays. You have to have those guys make those type of plays because that's in big moments. Big time players make big plays in big games, and that's what that was. I have another thing I want to add, and I tweeted this out. There is not two bigger figures that Venables has picked up in any recruiting cycle than the duo of David Stone and Jaden Jackson in
Boy,
2024 class.
I would go as far as to say, Brandon, Jaden Jackson played his best game as a Sooner today, and David Stone played his best game as a Sooner today.
100% agree with that. 100%.
I don't think that's a hot take either.
It's not. I tweeted that out multiple times and I kept retweeting it over and over because every time they made a play, I'm just going to keep retweeting my original post, my original tweet, because that's how good they were playing. There was nothing else need to be said other than those tweets. Like, they're playing fantastic. This is the best. This duo is they're so consequential and meaningful because I think those two changed the very fabric and the perception of Oklahoma defensively. The second Oklahoma got those two, that's when we knew Oklahoma was moving in a different direction on the defensive side of the ball, right? And recruiting. And it stayed true with every cycle getting dudes. And you see that with the defensive front. PJ Adebawara was one of the guys. I would probably say he started it with the 5 stars. But it was, can Oklahoma keep it up in 24? And then they got Jaden Jackson, David Stone, right? You have, I think OU fans, you can thank Colton Vasek for Taylor Wine. You can thank Colton Vasek, who Oklahoma is going to be playing against. I don't know how much he's playing for Texas right now, but Oklahoma had Colton Vasek, who looked to be an amazing player. And the very day that he decommits, Taylor Wine's tape lands on Miguel Chavis's desk, and they offer him. Talk about a godsend, Parker. Like, that's the type of stuff that makes programs into elite programs. Having luck with hitting on Taylor Wine, and obviously hitting. Let's give it up to PJ Adebawara. He played fantastic today as well.
There wasn't a single player on Oklahoma's defensive line who didn't play fantastic tonight. Not a single one. Not a single one. Which is,
you're right.
And that might be the most impressive aspect of this victory for Oklahoma is that to a man, every single dude that played a snap for Oklahoma on the defensive line, you can make a case that each of those guys, with the possible exception of our Mason Thomas, because he's had some standout performances, performances, every single one of those guys might have played their best game as a Sooner today.
They did.
It's not far-fetched.
No. And look, PJ created, I think it was Jaden Jackson got a sack because PJ, there was that one where he looked like he was shot out of a missile. Nobody touched him. And he goes between the guard and the tackle, which was it was because of how BB blitzed. And Jaden or Jackson Arnold slides right up into the arms of Jaden Jackson, who's waiting to bear hug him. And then on top of that, like a few plays before that, David Stone got a TFL because Danny Okoye did the exact same thing. Flushed him out of the pocket, landed right in David Stone's lap. Like sometimes they're not making plays, and maybe they don't make a lot of plays, and statistically they're not showing up on the stats, right? But that defensive edge rushers, they helped the defensive tackles. Usually it's the defensive tackles helping the edge rushers. It was like almost flipped today, where the defensive tackles were getting to eat because Jackson likes to slide up in the middle of the pocket. He always has. And Oklahoma knew that. There was my son actually pointed this out, Parker. He said, "Did you see the last play on that safety, Dad?" And I said, "No." I said, "Well, yeah, I saw it, but I haven't rewatched it." He goes, "Well, I rewatched it." He goes, "Our Mason Thomas was really the only one rushing. Everybody else was sitting back, kind of waiting
You know what
for him to
Grayson
get."
Halton said after the game?
What's that?
Because I asked him about this. Because in real time, it looked like Grayson Halton was already celebrating the safety before our Mason Thomas had gotten home.
Yeah.
And I'm paraphrasing here, but Grayson Halton essentially said something to the effect of, "Yeah, we all knew our Mason was going to get that one, so we just kind of let him go get it."
So that makes sense.
Like,
Why it looked like I thought maybe they were just waiting for him to
and
slide up.
the fact that you got a guy that's good enough that you can just do that
That's
in
pretty
a
awesome.
moment like that, man.
I
Man, our Mason Thomas, Oklahoma's going to miss him when he graduates at the end of the 2025 season.
They are.
That's going to be a very hard human being to replace.
He also saved a touchdown in the first half
He
or
did.
second half. Second
He
half, like
did. Thank you for
early
bringing this up because I
second
would
half.
have
He saved a
glossed
touchdown.
over it.
Yeah.
Our Mason Thomas ran down Jeremiah Cobb.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. He was the original person that missed the tackle, and he said, "Screw that! I'm not letting that hang over my head," and chased him down.
40 yards downfield, mind you.
Yes, he did. He whiffed, going for his legs when he stunted through. Got up. He got up off the ground, Parker, and chased him down. That's impressive. I didn't know he was that fast. That means that dude's got to be like a 4.5 guy or low 4.6. I mean, he was flying after Jeremiah Cobb, flying. So he just had a well of a game. Like the fresh leg thing, I think was 100% true. He came
That
into that second half, one, pissed off, two, with fresh legs, three, and we talked about it on the pregame podcast. This is the first game of the whole season because Auburn, Hugh Freeze, stubborn as hell, wasn't going to max protect. The only time he max protected was the deep ball in the end zone when they were backed up in the end zone in the first half when
Yep.
Jackson hit the deep ball to Cam Coleman. That's the only time that they max protected. The rest of the time, Hugh Freeze is stubborn as hell. He's not going to max protect. And that's got to make our Mason Thomas be he was chomping at the bit for that because he knew he was going to get his today. And he did. And he did.
that play where he runs down Jeremiah Cobb is just nutty, man.
Yeah,
Like
it
I'm
was.
watching that unfold in real time, and I see this crimson jersey closing ground in a hurry on Jeremiah Cobb after it looks for a split second like he's just going to coast to pay dirt. And
Yep.
I'm sitting there like, what is that? That's our Mason Thomas?
Yeah, I had to check. I thought it was Bowen because Bowen was chasing him, and so was RSJ. And next thing you know, you see this 32 just beeline by him, and I was like, "Whoa, what?" Because Peyton Bowen runs like a 4.4.
Yeah,
Like
none of those guys in the back end of the secondary are slow.
no. So that was interesting to say the least. But that's the difference in fresh legs, though. That's all that was fresh legs. Good on him because they needed that. That's where him sitting out the first half probably saved Oklahoma 6 points.
We probably need to talk about the play. Before we talk about the play, I do want to discuss a play that has probably been like its significance in the game has probably been obfuscated by the presence of the play shortly thereafter. Michael Boganowski blowing up that botched punt there.
Yes, it was
Huge
huge,
moment in the game
huge.
for Oklahoma because Auburn's punter, Hudson Cock, that's his name,
Trust me, I giggled in
was
thank
that
you for
close to getting
stopping.
that punt off. And Michael Boganowski's there in the backfield to blow it up and set Oklahoma up in the red zone to
Yep.
start that possession. And then, of course, promptly there's a holding penalty on Heath Ozida that marches him 10 yards backward. And then you have the
The
play.
play.
Boy, I don't know if there has been a single play in college football today that's been more widely discussed and debated than the play.
So but I'll just say this, and I was talking to Till Jesse. I've seen that play ran twice in my life. Once, my head coach in high school, Steve Likes, ran it, and I was the culprit on the sideline at wide receiver that he ran it with. We had a hidden play. I was a sophomore in high school. We were all freshmen and sophomores that year, and we played Jason White and all those guys, and we were young. The year before was a bunch of seniors, and they went to state and all that. We obviously didn't. We were awful. So trick plays helped us out in staying ball games. So we're playing, I believe it was Newcastle, and I was to run towards the sideline, stop and turn like my arms folded on the line, mind you, with my heels probably about 7 inches away from the sideline. And the second snap the ball, I take off and run. But it looks like I'm standing out of bounds talking to the coaches.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Satania didn't even do that. He lined up like he was a wide receiver. He just walked over there, but it look like he was walking off the field, and then he just stops and turns. Lines up, stops and turns, lines up like he's a wide receiver, so it doesn't look deceiving at all, which I think is why the official could not assume that it was a trick play, right? I think that's it. Like, yeah, it was deceiving, but it wasn't deceiving in nature of he was standing over there pretending like he's talking to the coaches and everything. He was talking, but he stopped, turns and lines up, and then they just quickly just snap it and he runs off down the field.
Are you aware that the
It's an illegal
SEC,
play.
yeah,
Yes.
are you aware that the SEC has released a statement?
I am not. Talk to me.
They have released a statement on the play. I will read it to you verbatim.
Okay.
This is from SEC officiating. And I quote, in Saturday's Auburn at Oklahoma football game with 10:50 remaining in the second quarter, a pass was thrown to Oklahoma number 5, Isaiah Satania, resulting in a touchdown. Oklahoma number 5 participated in the previous play, which was a first down play from the 22-yard line. After the first down play was completed, Oklahoma number 5 continued toward his team's sideline but stopped just before reaching the Oklahoma sideline. NCAA Football Rule 9-2, Article 2 is labeled unfair tactics, with paragraph B stating no simulated replacements or substitutions may be used to confuse opponents. No tactic associated with substitutes or the substitution process may be used to confuse opponents. This includes any hideout tactic with or without a substitution. The officiating crew did not properly interpret the action as a hideout tactic. If properly officiated, the second down play should have resulted in a team unsportsmanlike conduct penalty of 15 yards assessed from the previous spot. Appropriate accountability will be applied without additional comment. End quote. So,
What does that even
TLDR,
mean?
the SEC officials admitted they screwed that one up.
Okay, so here let me finish this off. I'm gonna right at the camera. Auburn fans, if you're watching this, if you think that was gonna win or lose the ball game, you're just assuming that Oklahoma doesn't score from 20 yards out.
Well, to be fair, it was second and 20 on the play, or second and 21, I think.
But I get
And the
it. But
15-yard penalty would have made it second and 36.
fair enough. But they would have got 3 points, probably, right? Like most
Maybe.
likely 3 points. So you're assuming that 3 points wouldn't at least be put up on the board regardless of the fact. those 3 points, the way the game ended, doesn't change the win or loss, Parker.
No, but it does change the complexity of that game and probably a lot
Maybe.
of decisions that are made by both Hugh Freeze and Brent Venables
I
in the
agree with
second
that
half.
part, but if it's in cans and butts, we're candy nuts, man.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's fair to say you got a little lucky
They got
today.
lucky. Oklahoma got lucky.
Got a
Yep.
little lucky, and sometimes that's what it takes. Again, it takes what it takes to win the SEC. And today, for Oklahoma, it happened to take a little bit of luck and a little bit of human error.
So I guess my question is do they try and cause a make up for this later on down the line with Oklahoma somehow, some way? I think the schedule they've given Oklahoma the first 2 seasons was punishment enough, and that was one of those things where you've allowed Oklahoma to. I'm not going to say win a ball game because that's not the right way to work. You've you made a mistake that maybe balanced some things out for Oklahoma, confidence wise, to go into that hellacious schedule you've given them the first 2 seasons in, while giving Texas a bunch of freaking softballs in year 1 and 2 of the SEC. Granted, that's because the SEC. Did you realize that the SEC does their scheduling? I just, for some other reason, did not understand this until like 2 months ago. That the SEC does their scheduling based off the previous 10 seasons. You're how well you did the previous 10 seasons. Did you know that?
I did not know this. So when you say they base it off, like what does that mean
So like that's
practically
why
speaking?
Florida and Oklahoma got just like crap schedules when it comes to, because the previous 10 seasons, they were pretty good, right? They won 9, 10, 11 games, quite a bit, right? I know Florida's had their down years, but they've been in SEC contention quite a bit. Georgia does not have they have a pretty tough schedule as it is, right? Um, so allegedly, this is what I was told by multiple people in the SEC media. Like when they did when they did the scheduling, the initial scheduling. I don't know if they're going to continue to do this. Like I think it was just when they got the 16 team that they based the schedules off like you're going to play a harder schedule because you were better the previous 10 years than Texas. Cuz Texas wasn't really good up until 2023, right? So, I think that is allegedly, and I keep saying allegedly because I've been told that by multiple SEC reporters. And I was told this at SEC Media Day, by the way, by multiple people. Like, yeah, they base it off of such and such, and it's computer that does all of it. Allegedly. That's why I say allegedly, because I really don't know if that's true or not. It sounds fathomable, though. I mean, that you would base the initial schedules off how people did the previous 10 years. That way, if they weren't so good, you're not going to bring them in the SEC and just get spanked because they're the ones with the crap schedule. They couldn't handle the Big 12. How are they going to handle the SEC? And I think Texas just so happened to start being really good up to that point.
Brandon,
And
I need you to weigh in on something
oh
from
no.
this game
Okay.
because I don't know that I have the best frame of reference for it. In general, watching the game through a camera lens, some games I walk away feeling like I have a better grasp of what I witnessed. I can't figure out, and I probably won't be able to figure out until I rewatch the game from the all 22 bird's eye view. I I couldn't figure out today why Oklahoma's run game was in such a funk. All I could really see from my vantage point through a camera lens was that they were completely ineffective at running between the tackles. I mean,
Yeah.
Torrey Blaylock was the only Oklahoma running back that gained yards. He had
Yeah.
11 carries for 13 yards today. 11 carries, 13 yards.
So
What was wrong? Do tell.
yeah. Okay. Well, you're bringing. We had this conversation in the post. This is what you're asking me. I know that, but so it's partly the offensive line. There were times when the offensive line was just Ugh, awful. They were getting blown back so much. There were other times where it just felt like, and I love Torrey Blaylock. I think he's going to be an immaculate player. We've seen that already, but he likes to bounce it outside, or he likes to stretch the play, or he likes to, I don't know how to describe it. He doesn't do the cutback very well. And there were times where the leverage for Auburn in whatever blocking scheme, whether it was zone, head up, whatever Oklahoma was doing, um, and I only say whatever they're doing because on different plays they obviously block differently. They may be pulling, all that type of stuff. Um, there were cutback lanes. There were a lot of times Auburn would have the leverage over, and it would just, and he would run. They would run right into it, and you would look over backside, and there would be a backside cutback where it's literally you'd be one on one with a linebacker at the second level, and they weren't. They're just running straight ahead, and I think there's a lot of that. But at the same time, I think the offensive line wasn't blocking that well either. They were getting pushed back. It had a lot to do how Auburn was playing OU in the run game. Um, and they were doing a lot of run stunts, a lot of slants, a lot of run slants, a lot of run blitzes. Like they were doing a lot of different things to really mess up even the quarterback run game. So, and they were doing their run fits were fantastic today, Parker. They were great. Their linebackers, their run fits fitting the hole. There was not a hole a lot of times that you didn't have somebody standing there or at least in the second level waiting on like a backside cut or anything like that. So they Auburn just played it really well and the offensive line got beat up. I thought it was interesting that you didn't see very much of Fasusi. Like he played like one or two series and he was out. You didn't see him again. I don't think Derek Simmons played very well. Run blocking, I do not think he played very well. I think that was his worst game, run blocking this year. I think um, Howland didn't play very well in the run block. I don't think Ozida did. And I will tell you for a verifiable fact, this was the worst game run blocking Fabichi Wewu has ever played at Oklahoma. It was bad. Bad. Jake Michael was okay. Okay. You combine all those issues, Parker, and what do you have? How many rushing yards did Oklahoma have? Total?
Cumulatively,
Yep, cumulatively.
the final number was 32. 26 carries for 32 yards as a team.
That's how you get that number. They need Fasusi. They need Sexton. And they need whoever else is dinged up and playing hurt to be healthy moving forward in the SEC. Bad. I wouldn't expect Sexton back till probably Alabama, maybe. So we'll see there. But you definitely need Fasusi to come back and at least add some depth at that left tackle spot. I just don't. Tell me if you agree with this, Parker. Logan Howland just isn't very physical in the run game. He's all
No,
right pass blocking.
yeah, even when he pass blocks, though, I just
So I said, all right.
I'm uneasy
Yeah.
when Logan Howland's out there.
You didn't see a lot
Uneasy.
of Beklinko today either, by the way. Or at least I didn't.
No, did he play at all?
I don't think I saw him.
They got to figure it out, man. They got to figure
They
the
got
run
to
game
figure it
out
out.
because playing
It's a good time for a
one-dimensional
bye
offense
week.
is only going to get you so far, right?
Yep.
Like if you're and to be clear, it was good enough to win today, and that in and of itself is positive. But there will be games that your defense allows more than 17 points throughout the season.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to be able to outscore the opposition, in games like that, where maybe you get a shootout that climbs into the 30s for both teams, you're going to have to be able to run the ball effectively between the tackles.
When you look back at the history of the University of Oklahoma, 2000's the only year that I can remember where they just weren't great at running the ball. That was Quentin Griffin's sophomore year, but it was the first year, him full-time starter. Um, he wasn't great. He was okay, right? He had his moments, but that they won a national title. You look at 2003, right, with Kewan Jones, the year before Adrian Peterson. They lost the national title because they didn't have a solidified run game against LSU that year. Um, trying to think of the other years. What were the other years they weren't very good running the ball, Parker, that they just I guess 2009, and
They
that team just wasn't
weren't,
very good.
yeah, they weren't great running the ball in 2020 until Ramondre Stevenson got back. Do recall that.
And they lost two games because the run game was putrid. They
Mhm.
couldn't run the ball to keep the freaking defense off the field. And they were scoring points, but they were having to throw the ball to score, which
Mhm.
wasn't wasting the clock, and ended up losing the ball game. First two, they started out 1-2 because of that, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I mean, you got to have a run game, Parker. You got
Got
to have a
to.
run game. Hey,
But
go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say this though. I know it's easy to take the play of the quarterback for granted,
Yeah,
especially when, by most measures, John Mateer didn't have a spectacular day. But John Mateer led a game-winning drive today. John Mateer took Oklahoma down the field
yep.
expeditiously and effectively on the possession where it mattered most. That scoring drive, 6 plays, 75 yards, 2 minutes and 14 seconds.
And a
Clinical.
freaking dot to Isaiah Satania. And then the very next play, housed it. So like that you want to know what? You look back at that and you look at his numbers, and people are going to look at his numbers, but everybody that watched the game, because it was nationally televised, right? Everybody was watching that game. It was a close game. It was a fun game. Heisman moments come when you lead drives like that. It doesn't matter what you did previously. Heisman winners lead game winning drives like that, no matter the circumstances, no matter how bad he played. And at the end of the day, you look at his numbers, Parker. He still threw for. He still threw for. Let me find it. Dadgummit. I just lost him. He still threw for 271 yards. So that's still Heisman like numbers. You throw the Naturally, you throw, and he had two touchdowns because he had one rushing and he had one throwing, so he had two touchdowns. That's still Heisman. It's still a Heisman day, Parker. So anybody that's worried about that, don't because that last drive saved his clout.
I'm not
I
worried
know
about
you're
that.
not. I'm talking to the fan base. You and I couldn't care less.
Well, and
We couldn't care less. So
what matters, if you want to have that conversation a third of the way through the season, that's fine. And like we can talk Heisman. What I think matters most
it's 4 and
in the
0.
Heisman conversation, well, not only 4-0, but also that drive. That drive to win the football
Oh yeah,
game.
that's my point.
Anybody that watched that, anybody that has a Heisman vote, that resonated.
Yep. Yeah, that was my
And with
point.
all of the
Yeah.
big time games that John Mateer is going to play the rest of the way, he'll have plenty of other opportunities for
Yes,
Heisman
yeah.
moments. He could have a whole Heisman highlight reel by the time the season's over.
So, with that said, MVP, offense, defense. Who you got?
How about
Uh,
this?
we just agree it's John Mateer on offense. I
You
think
can,
Satania deserves it.
yeah, you can have John Mateer. I'll take Satania. That
Okay.
covers both of the bases. I think those are the two guys that are deserving. Although Hat tip to Jaron Canick as well. 4
For
catches,
sure.
62 yards today. Big catch on that go ahead touchdown
Freaking
possession.
Mortal Kombat kicked a dude in the chest too. That was freaking awesome.
That was interesting, no doubt about it. But man, Jaron Canick's just been Mr. Reliable for this offense from the tight end
He's
position.
awesome.
And boy,
Yep.
ain't that just what the doctor ordered for this system.
The Joe John hate's gone, Parker.
Nobody is talking about Joe John Finley.
It just
He
fizzled
must be
out.
doing a decent job.
Oh, and he has 2 really good recruits coming in 2026.
That he does. Defensively,
That's a
I don't
tough
know,
one,
man.
man.
Can we can we just go ahead and give it to the whole defensive line? Like again, everybody that played today for that unit was awesome.
They're great. Yeah,
Awesome.
just the whole defensive front gets the tip of the cap, gets the man, David Stone got screwed out of 2 sacks today, by the way.
How so?
They didn't give it to him because he tackled because Jackson ran up and got almost right back to the line on one of them, and the other one, I guess they said he was running and not sacked, not didn't give him a sack because he had like remember that drive where he had like back-to-back plays that looked like he got 2 sacks in a row, and then they didn't give it to him. They gave him the one in the first half though. Poor guy. He almost had himself a day. Well, he did have a day, but
He
like
did have a day,
but
no
a
doubt.
better day. So
Hey, can we go ahead and give a special teams game ball to old Grayson Miller too? Where
yeah,
did
he
this
was
kid come
awesome.
from, man? I know where
Elijah
he came
Thomas
from.
as well, by the way, on special
Elijah
teams.
Thomas has been great on special
Awesome.
teams. Jaden Hardy has also been great on special teams.
Boganowski, yep. Yep.
Boganowski had a huge play, but Grayson Miller, man, Lubbock Christian University to UCO to the University of Oklahoma in 2025. He didn't even break camp as the starting punter. Only got the opportunity to punt in the Michigan game because Jacob Ulrich was dealing with some hamstring discomfort. Jacob Ulrich's not getting that job back, Brandon.
Unless, yeah. At
Grayson
the
Miller's
rate
been
he's
too dang
playing,
good.
yeah.
He
He's
averaged
awesome.
54.4 yards on 5 punts today, including a long of 66.
God,
That will do.
yeah. Isn't he from Kennesaw State?
Oh,
Right?
who, Ulrich?
No, no, no.
No, Grayson Miller, again, he Lubbock Christian to play
Lubbock
soccer,
Christian. That's right. That's right.
then UCO to
That's
punt,
right.
and then
That's right.
transferred to Oklahoma this past offseason as a walk-on.
Who's the Kennesaw State I'm thinking of?
Ulrich.
Ulrich. Okay. Yeah. I knew one of the punters was Kennesaw State. And then, yeah, Tate Sandell, man, he has been just money this year.
Missed the first attempt of
first
the
attempt, and after that,
Yep, hasn't missed since.
and like they haven't been easy. They've been like 48 yarders, 52. Like he's been awesome, just awesome. OU can has a special teams, man. How about that? Who would have thought? You didn't think that after the Michigan game at all.
And by the way, if you passed Grayson Miller on the street, you would have no idea that this
He
dude
does.
is
He looks like a
this
little
dude is a
kid.
weapon for the Oklahoma football team in the year of our Lord 2025 because Grayson Miller just looks like
A
your
frat
typical
guy.
yeah, he looks like the type of dude that you'd pass on frat row at 10:30 on a Thursday night.
Bet he does. All right, man. Well, Oklahoma's 4-0. They're going to probably be a top 10 team when you wake up tomorrow, or not wake up, but around 1:30 on Sunday. If you're watching this on Sunday, you'll be probably a top 10 team at some point today. I would assume 9 or 10 is probably where probably 8, 9, or 10 is probably between 8 and 10 is probably where they'll be ranked. Who had that on their bingo card, Parker, to start the year? What a start for Oklahoma, and they get Kent State, and they get a bye week next week where college football is about to be turned on its freaking upside down with the matchups that are happening next weekend. There's going to be a chance that Oklahoma just creeps up closer to top 5, and they're not even going to play, Parker. So, like, this is what a start for the season for the Sooners. With that said, if you're not subscribed to this YouTube channel, if you're not subscribed to whatever podcasting platform you're listening to us on, if you're not subscribed to OUinsider.com, you're missing out. This is the fun part of the season. Yeah, there's a bye week, but there's a lot of recruiting. Like Parker and I will be on the road. Bye week means we're going to be out and about, going to a lot of high school stuff, getting you guys updated on Oklahoma, the recruiting trail. Because guess what? With the window of the transfer portal only being 10 days now, or 15 or whatever it is, they haven't got the link, but it's only going to be one portal window. Portal is almost going to be, it's going to be far less, which is something we're going to have to talk about later this week. Far less than it's ever been, which means high school recruiting's back, which means it's meaningful again, which means if you're not on OUinsider.com, you're missing out. And right now, you get OU Insider. If you go and you sign up, you type in OUinsider.com, you click on that green button, the green Join Now button, and it'll send you to a page where you can choose to get not only OU Insider for a year or month to month, however you want to do it, you also get The Athletic complimentary on OU Insider and on 3 for a whole year with your membership. So that's a 2-for-1 deal. So not only can you get the OU Insider for $11.99 a month, or you get it for $119.99 for a whole year, you also get The Athletic for a whole year. If you're a college student and you have a .edu, if you're a teacher with a teacher's account, if you're a active duty military with an active duty military email account, you email us from your .edu, you email us from your teacher school account, you email us from your active duty military account to OUinsider@rivals.com. We will send you a promo code to get OU Insider for $1 a month for 3 months. That's almost the whole football season. Basically is at this point. And you get a great deal. You get everything. You get all of OU Insider. You get all of On3. You can go to every On3 site you want to go to. You want to go check out Auburn. You want to go check out Alabama, LSU, Tennessee. Who else does Oklahoma play this year that I'm forgetting? South Carolina. All those schools that they're going to be playing as the year goes on. Texas. You can go check all that out. You get the national team, whether recruiting, whether it's Andy Staples, all of it. You get it if you go join OU Insider right now. OUinsider.com. Again, you get The Athletic. If you're just regular Joe, you get an Athletic for a year, plus you get OU Insider for a year. If you're a teacher, active duty, if you're a college student, doesn't matter where you go to school, in college, you have a .edu, email us, OUinsider@rivals.com. Get OU Insider for $1 a month for 3 months. All right, for Parker Thune, my name is Brandon Drum. Oklahoma now 4-0 heading into the bye week. They beat Auburn 24-17. That's going to do it for this version of the OU Insider Under the Visor Sooners Postgame podcast. For Parker Thune, my name is Brandon Drum. You all have a blessed day.